In this video, we'll be revealing why waiting until after 60 to retire often ruins retirement plans in more ways than you might think. For decades, the safest bet in retirement planning was to just work a little longer. But what if I told you that in today's world, that safe bet could be the very thing that ruins your retirement? That's why we're making this video, to show you why waiting past 60 could ruin your retirement plans and the strategic reasons to consider retiring earlier than later. Let's get started. The health and energy decline that waiting past 60 creates. Here's something many people don't factor into their retirement decision. Your health and energy are on a clock. Imagine having the money to finally take that dream trip, only to discover your body can't keep up. In reality, the likelihood of that is actually pretty high. In fact, according to the National Council on Aging, 93% of adults age 65 and older have at least one chronic health condition, and 79% have two or more. In addition to health challenges, energy levels also naturally decline as we age. That trip that you want to take, or even just chasing grandkids around the yard, these experiences require stamina and mobility. Waiting too long to retire often means that these activities are harder, or in some cases, not even possible. There's also another factor many people don't plan for: caregiving. The CDC reports that over 1/3 of U.S. caregivers are now age 60 or older, and these individuals report significantly worse health outcomes than non-caregivers. This means that many people in their 60s are not only facing their own health struggles, but are also taking on the physical and emotional demands of caring for their aging parents. The point I'm trying to make here is health timing is often more critical than financial timing when it comes to retirement planning. You can always add more to your savings, but you can't rewind time to when you had the health, energy, and freedom to enjoy retirement fully. That's why retiring in good health is often more valuable than retiring with maximum wealth but limited capabilities. Later in this video, I'll show you how your portfolio income needs, or your PIN, fits into this equation, since it's the number that's, again, unique to you, that tells you if retiring earlier is actually possible for you. But of course, health is only part of the story here. Even if you feel like you're still strong enough to work, that financial side can trip you up too. In fact, working past 60 often creates a hidden tax problem we call the tax bracket trap. For many people, working past age 60 seems like a safe move. You're earning your highest salary, your 401k is still growing, and it feels like you're stacking the deck in your favor. But there's a potential catch. Instead of boosting your retirement, this extra income can actually make your retirement less financially efficient. Sounds crazy, right? But higher income pushes many people into higher tax brackets, meaning every extra dollar earned is worth less in take-home value. You're putting in the work, but Uncle Sam is keeping a bigger share. And it doesn't stop there. If you retire before 65 and you aren't yet on Medicare, extra income can trigger a massive spike in health insurance costs through the Affordable Care Act marketplace. Remember, premium tax credits are tied to your income. Go over the income threshold, and these credits disappear, meaning that you will pay thousands more in premiums each year. In fact, KFF, which is a leading health policy organization in the U.S., it was formerly called the Kaiser Family Foundation, projects that in 2026, those earning above $62,600 a year as an individual could lose all credits and face much higher healthcare costs. Based on 2025 premiums, a 60-year-old couple earning $85,000 a year, which is over 400% of the federal poverty level, would see their monthly premium payments increase by over $1,500 a month. That's an increase of over $18,000 a year. That money could have gone towards travel, grandkids' college savings plan, or building towards a more tax-free income retirement. And lastly, our final tax bracket trap often creates one of the biggest missed opportunities of all: Roth conversions. If you're still working as a high earner, you typically can't take advantage of lower income years to move money strategically into tax-free accounts like a Roth. By waiting to retire, you end up forfeiting a strategic opportunity that could have created massive long-term tax savings. I'll talk about Roth conversions more in a moment, but here's the ultimate trap, right? These extra years of high earnings feel safe, but once you look at the tax math, they're often counterproductive. This is where strategy matters more than just income. At Rubino and Lang, we use our PIN, your portfolio income needs, to show exactly when opportunities like Roth conversions can work in your favor. By focusing on your portfolio income needs, you don't just guess at whether you can afford to retire. You see clearly how retiring earlier could actually create more spendable income than continuing to work. Okay. So we've talked about how tax inefficiencies can reduce the value of working longer. Now let's talk about how Roth conversion opportunities really highlight why early retirement can create powerful tax advantages. Many people think working longer automatically means more money for retirement, but here's what often gets overlooked. The longer you keep earning a high salary, the more you restrict yourself from one of the most powerful retirement strategies available, which is the Roth conversion. And here's why that matters. When you retire in your early 60s before Social Security income and required minimum distributions kick in, you often have several years of relatively low taxable income. These years often create an ideal window to move money from a traditional retirement account into a Roth IRA at a much lower tax rate. But if you keep working, these Roth opportunities tend to disappear because your full-time paycheck keeps you in higher tax brackets, reducing those opportunities to make strategic conversions. Still, the value of Roth conversions goes beyond just saving on taxes today. Done strategically during early retirement, Roth conversions can create tax-free income in retirement, giving you more spendable dollars, compound these tax savings over decades, which helps your nest egg last longer, reduce future RMDs, required minimum distributions, ultimately helping to lower your taxable income in later years, and provide estate planning advantages since Roth accounts can be passed on tax-free to your heirs with few limitations. Remember, early retirement doesn't just open the door to free time, it opens the door to smarter tax planning that can leave you with more wealth and flexibility throughout your retirement. And now that you understand the Roth conversion advantages, if you're wondering whether your early retirement makes sense for your situation, click the link below to book a call and we'll analyze your specific circumstances to help you optimize your retirement timing. Next, let's discuss the burnout and stress reality that working past 60 creates. For many people, their 60s are not a smooth ride into retirement. Instead, they can become some of the most demanding years of their career. Long hours, corporate pressures, and that constant grind can start to feel heavier than ever. And the reality is, burnout doesn't just affect your job, it seeps into relationships and even your outlook on retirement. And here's why that matters. Stress is more than just feeling tired or frustrated. Decades of research shows that chronic work stress increases risks for heart disease, high blood pressure, sleep disruption, and depression. And in your 60s, work demands often conflict with your personal priorities. This is the decade when many people are not only managing their own career stress, but also supporting adult children, helping with grandkids, or caring for aging parents. This collision between work and family can be overwhelming and often creates guilt, exhaustion, and resentment at the exact stage of life when you expected to feel more freedom. This is why reducing stress by retiring earlier can often be more valuable than accumulating extra dollars. In fact, retiring before burnout sets in helps improve physical and mental health outcomes, giving you more healthy years to enjoy, strengthening relationships, giving you more time and energy for family, friends, and meaningful connections, preserves your energy for retirement itself, so it feels like a new beginning and not just some sort of escape, and it can boost mental well-being, reducing anxiety and depression risks that can undermine your enjoyment of retirement. Retiring before you burn out means you can enter retirement energized, not depleted. And this energy is what allows you to actually enjoy the experiences that you've been working toward, right? Okay. So now we know that work stress affects well-being, but the lifestyle limitation reality shows what delaying retirement costs in terms of experiences. When most people picture retirement, it isn't about numbers on a spreadsheet, it's about experiences, travel, hobby, time with the family, and likely the best part, the freedom to do what you want when you want. But if you keep working well past 60, many of these experiences become harder or even impossible to enjoy the way that you imagined. Why? Because time doesn't stand still. And while you're still working, Life around you is changing. Grandkids are growing quickly, and the early years that you wanted to be part of won't come back. Parents are aging, and family responsibilities shift in ways that often demand more of your attention. Friends may be retiring, which creates a gap between the experiences that they are enjoying and the ones that you are postponing. Plus, many retirement activities like golfing, hiking, skiing, they're easier when you're younger and have more energy. Aging reduces our capabilities in ways that no additional savings can compensate for. Therefore, retirement satisfaction depends on when you retire just as much as how much you retire with. Ultimately, an optimal retirement isn't just about financial security, it's about aligning money with life experiences so you get to enjoy the moments that matter most while you can. And now that you understand the lifestyle limitations, let's look at the readiness assessment that determines optimal retirement planning. Okay, so how do you actually know if retiring before 60 makes sense for you? The answer isn't about guessing or hoping. It's about taking a clear, honest look at your readiness. This starts with evaluating your retirement experiences you don't want to miss and the resources that you have to support them. Next, you want to calculate whether your savings can support earlier retirement using the right withdrawal strategies. Then consider your gap years. These are the years before Medicare when healthcare coverage can be a major factor, right? Understanding your options and costs here is critical. And then finally, you need to account for the tax opportunities that early retirement opens up, like Roth conversions and other strategic moves. Overall, what really helps to ensure the best decision is focusing on total life value, not just financial accumulation. This means weighing life satisfaction alongside your money, which brings me to the most important part, right? Your portfolio income needs, or your PIN. The single most important number in retirement planning is understanding your portfolio income needs, or your PIN. Your PIN is the amount of income your investments have to generate after Social Security, pensions, and other guaranteed income sources to fully support your retirement lifestyle. It's your income gap, right? The difference between what you'll need to spend and what you'll already have coming in. And why is this so powerful? Because your PIN determines the size of your portfolio needs at retirement, when you can realistically retire, how your investments should be structured, which tax-efficient withdrawal strategies to use, and how much risk you might need to take on in retirement. Once you know your portfolio income needs, you don't just wonder if early retirement is possible, you can see it clearly. And sometimes that clarity shows that retiring before 60 isn't just possible, it could actually leave you better off than waiting. Now, let's look at how these principles come together in a real life situation, especially in light of all the new laws that have just been passed, right? Let's talk about Jane and her husband, Bob. When they came to us, they were both 61 and a perfect example of people that were caught up in that one more year trap. Jane was a high earning executive, feeling completely burnt out, but their plan was to just have her push through until she turned 65. To them, it felt like that was the only safe and responsible option. And this is where the sunsetting of the ACA subsidies created a bit of a problem for them, because under the old rules, Jane could have retired, lowered her household income, and received generous ACA subsidies that cover their health insurance until Medicare kicks in. But because of the new subsidy cliff, or because of the return of the subsidy cliff, I should say, this meant that their household income, if it went even $1 over the limit, which is about $84,600 for a couple their age, they would lose all of their subsidies instantly and their premiums would skyrocket. Working longer meant Jane stayed in a high tax bracket and felt depleted, but retiring felt like walking a tightrope over a financial canyon. This is where a real plan makes the difference. So first, we calculated their portfolio income needs, or their PIN. We discovered that the life that they actually want to live together will cost about $80,000 a year after taxes. So this was our target. It is close to the subsidy cliff, so there's no room for error here. So next, we built a strategy to keep them safely under that cliff. For the next 3 years, from age 62 to 65, they're not going to touch their IRAs and 401ks. Instead, they're going to live off a combination of cash savings and withdrawals from their taxable brokerage account. This is the key because this income is treated differently and it gives us control over their official taxable income. So with their income now carefully managed to be under that $84,000 subsidy cliff, they're going to be able to secure affordable health insurance for the both of them. But here's where the plan becomes really powerful. With their taxable income low enough, it creates an opportunity for a few small strategic Roth conversions. We have a small window of room under the subsidy cliff to work with. So each year, we will carefully convert a precise amount from Jane's traditional IRA to a Roth IRA, enough to take advantage of those low tax brackets, but not enough to push them over the income limit and trigger that massive healthcare penalty. So by the time that they turn 65, Jane will not only have enjoyed 3 years of energized, burnt out, free living, but they will also have masterfully navigated these new complex laws to build a bucket of tax-free money for their future. They didn't just escape the traps of waiting. They used a sophisticated strategy to turn a legislative threat into the opportunity of a lifetime. So now that you understand why waiting past 60 could ruin your retirement plans and how early retirement can provide better outcomes than delaying it, you can make informed decisions about your optimal retirement timing. If you want help determining whether retiring before 60 makes sense for your situation and developing strategies for early retirement success, click the link below and book a call, and we'll analyze your circumstances to help you optimize your retirement plan. Until next time, take care.